Basically, when you look at the issue of corruption, and it's really more from a governance perspective, how do you make the system more responsive? How do you make the system, how do you streamline the system to actually design it in a much more incentive compatible manner so that you don't even have to have corruption in the first place? And that's really the way I'm looking at the problem. So I really looked at it from three perspectives. One, what can be called as large-scale corruption, which is about the stuff which gets the headlines, which is all the various scams and so forth. The second is which is not so prominent in the headlines, but in some sense for the poor people of this country is far more insidious, which is retail corruption at the point of contact when people deal with the system. And the third, which is the issue of tax and tax evasion and frequent cries to get that money back and so forth. So I'll really talk about three different aspects of corruption: the large-scale stuff, the retail corruption, and tax evasion. Within the existing public delivery, whether it's of rice or grain or healthcare or whatever, is there a way to use technology to give choice? Now, and that's exactly what we're actually doing, which is how do we create a new delivery architecture where the person has the mobility and choice to access his service from multiple providers. Because the moment you can architect something to have a choice from multiple providers, then the bargaining power shifts from the supplier to the beneficiary, because if one particular supplier is not giving him good service, he can go somewhere else and get the same service, and therefore he gets sort of a choice within the public system. Now, an example of that is, but to do that, to create this choice-based public delivery, you need to create portability of your entitlement. Right? That means if, let's say that in the public distribution system, I'm entitled to get 25 kilos of rice, then I need an ability to go to any shop and claim my rice. Otherwise, what is portability, right? So if I have the entitlement, I should be able to go to any shop and claim my rice. Now, the moment I want to have a system where I can go to any shop to claim my rice or wheat or sugar or kerosene, then the question comes, if I'm going to a shop which is an alien shop where they don't know who I am, how will that shop know I am the person to give that rice to? And therefore, having the ability to verify a person's identity becomes very important. And that's the only way you can unlock this whole thing, right? The only way you can unlock the whole thing is by making sure that wherever he goes, he can verify his identity. And if you want to make it verifiable across shops or across locations, then you need some kind of technique by which he can verify identity anywhere. You can rethink the way you design things. So you don't need to do all these surveys. You say, anybody wants to apply for PDS? Come and apply for the PDS. But if you apply for the PDS and subsequently we ascertain that you are actually an income tax paying guy with a BMW, then we're really going to come down hard on you. And that is something which is now possible to do. And therefore, rather than create barrier of entry which becomes a source of corruption, we develop a system where everybody comes in and we use a very sophisticated way of figuring out who among them are cheating or doing the wrong thing. Rather than saying every ministry will do auctions, because then you're reinventing the wheel every time, you should think of creating a much more central facility which provides auction capability, which can be used by every ministry. The advantage of that is that you can concentrate your expertise, and there are lots of auctions, upward, downward, Dutch, English, Vickery, whatever. All that capability can be built in one place, and all the departments who have to provide any kind of natural resource sale to the outside would use this infrastructure. And this infrastructure would have all the technology, it will have all the auditability, all that stuff, and that's how. Now, obviously, this means thinking horizontally as opposed to thinking vertically. It's not about Ministry X or Ministry Y or Ministry Z. It's about something which cuts across this, and that, it has its own territorial implications for the system, as we all know. So it may be difficult to push it. But fundamentally, I think we have to think of horizontal capabilities, whether it is auctions to sell resources at the best possible price, or if you are a procurement, for example, the whole thing of procurement can also be done by using these things.